Have you ever thought about the battlefield of ideas, where the prize isn't land, but innovation itself? For a long time, that fight was fought in traditional courtrooms, slow, expensive, and complex. But what if there was a faster, more specialized arena for these fights? Well, there is, and today we're going inside the Patent Trial and Appeal Board, or, as everyone calls it, the PTAB.
So picture this. You're convinced a competitor's patent is bogus, that it never should have been granted. The very thought of launching a full-blown lawsuit that could take years and cost millions is, well, it's exhausting, right? That's the exact problem the US government set out to solve. So what was their big idea? Let's get into it.
All right, so to really get why this new system was such a game changer, we first have to understand the world it was born into. The world of patents has always been a high-stakes game.
Before 2011, if you wanted to challenge a patent, your main option was federal court. And let me tell you, that path was a marathon. We're talking years of litigation, armies of lawyers, and costs that could easily spiral into the millions. For smaller companies, or even big ones, this kind of drawn-out war could totally stifle innovation. It was just too expensive and too slow to fight.
So, yeah, something had to change. This battlefield needed a new kind of arena, one that was faster, cheaper, and laser-focused on one simple question. Is this patent actually valid?
And that change came in 2011. Congress passed a massive piece of legislation called the America Invents Act. It was a huge overhaul of the patent system, and one of its biggest creations was this new body, the Patent Trial and Appeal Board, the PTAB. And it wasn't some new courthouse downtown. It was built right inside the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office itself.
So what exactly is the PTAB? Well, the easiest way to think about it is like a special forces court for patents. It's staffed with highly specialized administrative patent judges, and their one and only job is to look at a patent that's already been granted and decide whether it should have been approved in the first place. When you go to the PTAB, there are two main doors you can walk through. The most popular one, by far, is the Inter Partes Review, or IPR. Think of this as the sniper rifle approach. It's very focused. You can only argue that the patent is invalid based on things like older patents or stuff that's already been published. The other door is the Post-Grant Review, or PGR. Now this one's more like a bazooka. You only have a tiny 9-month window after a patent is issued to file one, but you can throw almost any legal argument you have at the patent to try and knock it down.
So you've decided to take the plunge. What does one of these challenges actually look like? Well, the whole process is built for speed. It's designed to be a streamlined, focused alternative to a sprawling court case.
Just look at this timeline. The whole shebang, from the day a challenger files their petition to the final verdict, is designed to wrap up in about 18 months. And get this, once a trial is officially a go, the board is legally required to issue a decision within 1 year. I mean, compared to federal court cases that can just drag on forever, this is an absolute sprint.
We can really boil that whole journey down to 4 key moments. It all kicks off with step 1, the petition. This is where the challenger throws down the gauntlet and lays out their entire case in writing. Then comes maybe the biggest hurdle of all. Step 2, the institution decision. This is where the PTAB judges read the petition and basically decide, is there a good chance this challenger is right? If they say yes, we're on to step 3, the trial. This is where both sides make their case. And finally, it all culminates in step 4, the final written decision. The verdict is in.
Okay, so this new system sounds great in theory, right? But did people actually use it? Oh yeah, the data tells a really fascinating story about who jumped in and how they've been doing.
The numbers are just wild. In its first 7 years alone, more than 10,000 petitions were filed at the PTAB. That's not a trickle, that's a flood. It showed there was this huge pent-up demand for a faster, better way to resolve these disputes.
And who was filing all these challenges? Well, this chart from 2019 makes it pretty clear. A massive 64%, almost 2/3 of all cases, came from the electrical and computer tech sector. In an industry that moves at a breakneck pace, with tons of overlapping patents, the PTAB quickly became the main event.
But here's the catch. Just because you file a petition, that doesn't mean you automatically get a trial. Remember that all-important institution decision step? It's a real gatekeeper. In the early days, back in 2013, getting a trial started was almost a sure thing. 87% of petitions got through. But as you can see, the board got tougher. That rate has come down and leveled off at around 62%. So while the bar is higher now, more often than not, a solid petition will still get through the door. Okay, now this cart right here, This is the whole story in one picture. It's called a Sankey diagram, and it visually tracks the journey of every single petition from start to finish. Let's follow the streams and see where everyone ends up.
So follow the flow from left to right. That big stream on the left, that's all 10,000 plus petitions coming in. Watch what happens at that first split, the institution decision. Boom! The river gets cut almost in half. A ton of cases end right there. But, and this is the key, look at the stream that does get instituted. Follow it all the way to the end. The results are just striking. Of the cases that go the distance to a final decision, a whopping 17% result in all the patent's claims getting invalidated, and only a tiny 5% see all the claims survive. The takeaway is simple. Getting your case instituted is the tough part, but if you can get past that gatekeeper, the odds shift dramatically in your favor.
So what happens when it's all over? Well, a decision from the PTAB isn't just a suggestion, it's a big deal, and it comes with some serious, long-lasting consequences for everyone involved.
And this brings us to a really powerful legal concept called Estoppel. Now, it sounds like a complicated lawyer word, but you can just think of it as the no do-overs rule. It's that simple. Here's why that no do-overs rule is so important. If you take your shot challenging a patent at the PTAB and you lose, you are generally blocked, or estopped, from turning around and trying to make those same arguments again in federal court. This makes a PTAB challenge an incredibly high-stakes, one-shot opportunity. You have to bring your A game, because on many grounds, you won't get a second chance.
And this really gets to the heart of the whole debate around the PTAB. On one hand, it's this incredibly powerful and efficient machine for weeding out weak patents, which helps clear the way for new innovation. But on the other hand, if you're a small inventor or a startup, facing this rapid-fire system can feel like a real David versus Goliath situation. It brings us right to this fundamental question. Does this streamlined justice machine ultimately help or hinder the very inventors it's meant to protect? That is the billion-dollar question at the center of this patent showdown.